So what I'd like to share this morning is about self-esteem. Yes. The paradox of all of this, you look around the room, we see a lot of great, wonderful, warm people. And paradoxically, who are the ones who have the greatest guilt and shame? Are us. The people who are good people, kind people, loving people. Why? Because we know the difference. There's a part of us that knows some of the things we did were not what I could do. We're not the best. We're not the highest. And so we tend to have guilt and shame. And then we start to berate ourselves, etc., etc. So what I wanted to share is a little related with that to the idea of ego. Because many of us believe ego is when somebody will walk up to you or you'll see somebody touting how good they are, how great they are, how much better than other people, how great their talents and abilities are. And so we'll tend to think that ego is when somebody overrates their capabilities or their achievements or what have you. Kabbalistically, what are they really saying when we talk of an ego that way? They're separate from God. They're separate from what we call the light in their soul, right? It's their talent, their abilities, their capability, as if they created themselves and there is no greater, higher power. So ego Kabbalistically is separation from the light of God, separation from the true energy that's inside every one of our souls. That we're all pretty familiar with, are we not? Yes. Now, here's the other part that tends to afflict, if I could say it that way, more spiritual people. And that we're going to change today. The other side of ego that most people don't consider is when we underrate our talents and abilities. When we think of ourselves as not so good, not so great, not so wonderful, not so talented, etc. Underrating is just as separate from the light of the Creator as overrating. Because if a person's saying they're underrated, their talents and abilities, and they're not so good, and maybe the universe shouldn't pay attention to them, or you shouldn't pay attention to them, or other people, they are also separating themselves from the light of God that's in their soul already. They're underrating the talent and ability that the Creator set inside every single one of us. And so today we've got to start balancing it, and that's what I wanted to speak about now, is the idea of self-esteem. Because we've all heard it. There's high self-esteem, low self-esteem, etc. So we usually think high self-esteem, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, I can do what I want. In fact, like this, I am so good that I should be able to just sit home and the universe should serve all my needs because I am who I am. And then you have the other people, the low self-esteem. I'm not so good, I'm not so this, I'm not, in fact, so bad, will people say, and this sparked part of this class this morning. I heard someone say that they felt that they had done such a rotten thing that they deserved punishment. So we said, okay, low self-esteem. They deserve all the trouble in their life, they deserve punishment. Well, I'm here to tell you on a Kabbalistic level, they're both wrong. They're both wrong. Because we know what we call God or we call the light is just love, kindness, care, compassion, forgiveness, and tolerance. The light of the Creator, the true essence of what we generally call God, is only good. Only good. Now, here's the part that we've got to start shifting for those of us who are given a more traditional background. The Kabbalists teach that yes, this Creator, this light force, it is all good, it is all love. And therefore, it doesn't reward and it doesn't punish. The Creator doesn't reward, the Creator doesn't punish. We do believe there's cause and effect. And therefore, every action that we do will set in motion the universe to create an equal effect back to us. So when we send out love, care, compassion, and kindness, somehow, somewhere, the universe will bring that back to us. It'll find a way. Our issue is not to be focused on where we gave it and expect it to come back from there. That's what we have to let go of. We will send it out, and the universe will find a way to create a circuit that will bring it back to us. But it will come back. It'll come back at the right time, in the right moment, in the way that we need it. And that's why those synchronistic situations take place. Because we did something maybe a week ago, maybe a year ago, maybe 10 years ago. And it took that process to go out and around, things to work out, to come back to us in that moment. At the same time, there are those other things. Sometimes we are not so good. We do things with a little anger, jealousy, ego, greed, fear, resentment, etc. So we may not also see that directly back from that person. But somehow also the universe will create a circuit and it will come back. What we understand, though, it's not punishment. Cause and effect, yes. But why does it come back? It comes back to give us the opportunity to fix it, to repair. Because if we are created in the image and likeness of the Creator, love, kindness, compassion, etc., then our job is to manifest all of that. So then when we don't behave that way, it's like you make a mistake on a test in school. So ideally, what would you like to do that maybe you had the chance or not? You take the test, you don't do so well. So you ask the teacher, can I try it again? Can I take it again? Give me a chance to make up for it. So the teacher will not give you the identical test. That would be too easy. But the teacher will give you a similar test. So if we are tested one day, and I don't mean God testing us or the universe, but really ourselves, if we're tested to express a higher level of kindness, and we don't pass that test, we don't act with the greatest level of kindness that situation gives us the opportunity, then somehow down the line, we'll be put in another situation where we have the opportunity now to behave with the kindness that we didn't do the first time. But that situation is going to look like somebody who may be not so kind, making us feel not so kind, and that's where we can grow. When we can feel that we don't want to express kindness, but we say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway, because it's better for me. If I let out from me a higher level of my soul's power, then I'm going to experience a higher level of my soul's power. So every event that we experience is simply there to allow us to express more of our soul's light, more of our kindness, our love, compassion, whatever it may be. Whatever we consider God-like abilities or talents or attributes, that's what the situations in our life are there for, to give us that opportunity to express that again. Now, there's a very interesting story in the Bible that I just found some comments about in Kabbalistic writings about Noah. You know Noah and the flood, Noah and the ark. So there's debate in various Kabbalistic writings. Was Noah really a fully righteous person or not? I mean, you read the story, he was in a generation where they were all evil, there was terrible hatred and negativity, and Noah was told by God, build the ark, warn people the flood is coming, that they should change their ways to avoid it. So he did exactly what God said. So most of us would think, well, that's pretty righteous. He heard the voice of God. He did everything. In spite of being humiliated, in spite of being made fun of. I mean, you could imagine, you know, like that movie that we saw not long ago, Evan Almighty. The guy's building the ark and everyone thinks he's crazy. So imagine Noah, the same thing among the generation, but he did everything God asked. So the Kabbalists debate, was he really righteous, was he not? If he was in the generation, let's say, with a Moses or an Abraham, would they have considered him also righteous? And so it goes back and forth. So I found in the Zohar an explanation. It says, why do they consider Moses and Abraham as truly righteous? Because when it came to disaster, like in Abraham's time, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, he knew it was coming, and he begged God, and he debated with God, so as not to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. When Moses was taking the Israelites, all of us, out of Egypt and into the desert, anytime there was some destructive thing on the way, Moses would beg God, pray to God, whatever, to change it. Noah didn't pray to God to stop the flood, but he followed God's word to warn people to build the ark, etc. So the Zohar says, why didn't Noah pray? It says because he didn't feel worthy. He looked at himself and he realized, or he thought, he had some similar behaviors to some of those people in his generation. Obviously not to the extent they did, but like you and I, we may not take a bat and go hit somebody over the head, but I'm sure all of us at some point in our day have a little irritation. We're just irritated at things. It didn't go well, somebody's slowing us down, the light turns red before we get there, things like that. So irritation is our level of taking a bat and hitting somebody else. It's the same essence, you're just talking degrees. So Noah, when he looked at his generation and he saw that he also had some similarities to that, he didn't feel he was worthy to pray to God and stop the flood. And so that I wanted to bring to us today, because many of us feel that same thing. Where do we feel not worthy of all the blessings that God has bestowed upon us already? The Kabbalists teach us, as it says simply in the Bible, we are created in the image and likeness of God, and therefore everything that God has, we have. The ability to heal, the ability to change the atmosphere, like we just did with the hurricanes, like we've done here. The ability to stop hatred and violence. As I showed you in that video, when we spread the Zohar, not only in this case the hurricane was stopped, but also crime levels drop. Things change because of the light of God that's in the Zohar and that the students make an effort to spread. More light, less darkness. So we have to realize that God already gave us 100%. Everything we could ever imagine that would make us feel 100% blissed out. The right job, doesn't matter what the job is. It doesn't matter if you're sweeping the streets or you're the CEO of some big company. If you're blissed out, if you feel your 100% eternal, lasting fulfillment, do you really care whether you're on the street sweep, and I don't mean to sound, you get the idea, street sweep or the CEO, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings, we all have a very essential part to play. When we play that part, 100%, we feel the 100%. And that's all we're here to do, is to live into our 100%. So when you look in the mirror, one is just to feel worthy. I am worthy because God created me with all this light and all this blessing. I have this power, I have this ability. And then I have to live into it. So as we said, every time that I have a challenge or I have an opportunity in my life to express that higher level, I want to take advantage. I want to take advantage because I want to live into my 100%. And that's why these things take place for us. So we go back to the idea of esteem, self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. Self-esteem or esteem itself, cut that, is related to value. What value do we have in something? I mean, think about it. There are things, and forgive me if I get it wrong, but the last thing, platinum, right, is more valuable than gold, is it not? Still is, right? Therefore, we'd have to say that collectively, people esteem platinum greater than gold. They value platinum more because, come on, it's a metal. Who says it's worth anything? We do. We decide the value of platinum. We decide the value of gold. We decide the value of anything. We decide the value of the people in our lives. We decide our own value. So esteem is related with our value. So again, we say high esteem, I overvalue things. Low esteem, I undervalue things. Today we're here to understand that we are simply vessels of the light of the Creator. We are vessels of the endless light. And therefore, if you think about a light bulb, one of our often used examples in the classes. You ever bought a light bulb at the store? No, you didn't. You ever seen a light bulb bought from the store? Right? You take it out of the box, what does it look like? A glass bulb. When you take it out of the box, is it shining 100 watts? No, but it's a glass bulb with wiring inside, and once you hook it to the power, once you hook it to the electricity, now it shines. So is the light separate from the glass? It's contained there together. You hook up the electricity, you put it through the light bulb, the glass of the light bulb shines with the light that's inside of its power. So the Kabbalists say we are similar. We are vessels of the light of the Creator. So the light without the vessel is only potential. It's not manifest. It's like electricity. If you have the electricity, no light bulb, there's still no light shining. You have the light bulb without the electricity. The vessel without the light, it's also not shining. So what we learn here in the Kabbalah Center is how to put the two together. How to be vested on through our actions so that we and our lives will shine. That's what we're here to do. We are. And therefore, the true lasting, the true self-esteem, if you want to call it that, and I thought we could maybe term it our light esteem. Our job is to value the light that's inside of us. Our value is to understand how much light we have and the power of that light, so that we will not be like Noah. We won't look and say, well, what power do I have? We have the power of the endless light of God. It's inside of us like that light bulb. All we have to do is turn it on and it will shine. And just like you've heard numerous times, and I've heard for almost 30 years in the center, you walk in a dark room, you turn on a light source, turn on the light bulb. What happens to the darkness? It just disappears. And illumination takes its place. It's not just that the darkness goes away and now you've got nothing. The darkness goes away and simultaneously the light illuminates. So when we can activate that true light of the Creator inside of us, that's when our darkness will start to dissipate. And you know what? Maybe right now we're shining with 10 watts, but we have 1,000-watt potential. So you'll do something today, you'll find yourself in a situation, live, activate the power inside you to be the 10, 100, 500, reach the 1,000. That's up to us. That's what free will means. The level of light that we express is not up to the Creator, and it's not up to anybody else in your life. It's only up to us. We have things around us. We have those thoughts in our mind that may tell us, well, you don't want to be kind or nice to this person. So then in essence, what that voice is telling you, don't shine a brighter light. But if you don't turn the light on brighter, then when you walk away from that situation, you're still dim light everywhere else. If in that moment you turn on a brighter light, then everywhere else you go, you're also a brighter light. So you may be used to a certain conflict with a person. You're shining a certain amount of light, but nothing that you could, not what you're capable of. So as you will then shine a brighter light, then when you walk away from that person, let's say they're at work, then you go home, you're shining brighter light to the people at home. You're shining brighter light on the street. And a brighter light on the street means more protection. Brighter light at work means better peace and harmony and satisfaction and prosperity from the job. Light is light. Light is our blessing. And so if we're going to ask, how do we raise our light esteem? It's simply just to start with that idea. Start realizing that the true source of fulfillment in our life is not the car, not the house, not the money, not the job. It's the light of God that we express through the family, the friends, the job, when we go on vacation, when we go to the supermarket, we go to an amusement park, wherever you go. It's the amount of light we shine that really determines our fulfillment in life. Because we got to remember, like the light bulb, it's partners with the electricity. We are partners with the Creator. So it's always to keep that in balance. It's not to value one higher than the other. It must be balanced for the greatest good of all of us. And so we want to keep, one, raise that value. Two, then it's simply to start acting with a greater level of light. Find the opportunity. Seek out. Don't wait for it to come to you. Find ways and means to express a greater level of light, a greater level of whatever, forgiveness, tolerance, compassion, understanding, anything that we consider light behaviors or God-like behaviors, start expressing more and more and more, and let it shine so that we will shine, because we do have that power. We must remember, and you will constantly be reminded here in the center and in these spiritual Sundays, we are infinitely powerful. We don't have to be like Noah. We have to keep in our mind we are channels of the infinite light of the Creator. And that infinite light is the power to take away darkness, chaos, to change people's hearts and minds. It's not our job. We may have certain interaction with our family and friends. We'll be able to say some things perhaps to inspire them, motivate them to come like here, join us here, start learning in the classes. But in the end of the story, the bottom line is it's the light we shine that creates the transformation. I had a conversation with somebody interesting enough last night at a birthday party, and I came to realize as I was sharing this kind of concept, I said, you know, sometimes we, and I don't know everyone in the room, all your personal details, but most of us don't believe we have power to change the world. And at that moment, I had a revelation That, sometimes we, who may not think, what are we here? We're in Boca, we're business people, we're friends, we're whatever, parents, whatever we are. We think, okay, we can influence a few people. But how many of us believe that we truly have influence over 7 billion people? That we can remove the pain and suffering from 7 billion people forever? And as I was saying that, I shared with this person, and I only use him as an example because we know the name, right? Please don't take it as a judgment on him or what have you. But even Bill Gates. Bill Gates, one of the wealthiest people in the planet. Do you really think that he believes that with all his wealth and all of his technology, that he believes he can remove death from the world? He can remove all forms of pain and suffering and darkness and chaos? I don't think so. He's doing what he can do. He gives away some money. He's got the thing with the mosquito nets. He's doing some peace. Because even, we want to say, in his level, he also is limited. He also doesn't believe he has the ability to change forever 7 billion people's lives. The president, the kings, prime ministers of the different countries, you think they think that? No, they're trying to influence their country for good by maybe making a little peace with somebody else. But do you really believe that they think they have the power to remove all the pain and suffering from every human being forever? Not at all. But you and I are learning here that each and every one of us who understand we have the infinite light of the Creator inside of us, when we will just open our heart and soul and let it all shine out, we have the power. Because we're channeling that infinite light of the Creator, we have the power to remove the death, pain, and suffering from every human being on the planet forever. When we stop and we ask ourselves, what do we really want? If we could hallucinate, if we could imagine, if we could wish, if we could hope, you and I, what would be our hope? Would it not be peace on earth? Goodwill to all mankind? If it's already in our thoughts, if it's already in our heart, it's because the light of the Creator is already there with the capability to make it happen. The thing that we have to do is we have to live into our potential. We have to live into that light. We have to be the brightest light bulb we can be. And as we will all do that, we will be able to remove all the pain and suffering and the chaos and the negativity. That is the promise of Kabbalah. That is what we're doing here in the center, and why here and there I keep sharing with you the things that we're doing in the center. Like the 80,000 Zohars we just spread all over Mexico. Like the, I don't even know the number, 100,000 Zohars we have here in Florida that's prevented hurricanes from touching ground for 9 years, and hopefully from this point forward. At the same time, just like Noah may be by himself and didn't feel worthy, we are not by ourselves anymore. We have millions of people now studying the Kabbalah. We're millions of people who understand what we're learning. We just need a certain amount more to shift the balance of power, and the light will remove all the darkness. And so it's to remember, when you look in the mirror, to find that balanced esteem. Yes, don't overrate it, don't underrate it. Fair value. We are channels of the light of God. Look in the mirror and understand and acknowledge. We are channels of the light of God. And like we did, I think, a few weeks ago, pat yourself on the back for the good things you do. You made an effort today to extend yourself, to exert yourself with greater kindness or compassion or light to somebody. Pat yourself on the back. Realize you just lived into a greater level of your soul's potential. And I shared with you, and I've got to find it, bumper sticker I saw many years ago. I know I'm somebody special because God doesn't create junk. I know I'm somebody special because God doesn't create junk. So it's not to say, well, so I can just sit back and everything's going to come to me. And it's not to say that, no, I only deserve punishment. We need to be in the middle, the balance of the body and the soul, the balance of the light and the vessel that we are. And to esteem that higher and higher every day. How much more valuable is the light that we have inside of us than it was yesterday? And remember, just like gold and silver and all those things out there, they're only worth what we decide they're worth. If somebody is allergic, and I understand there are people like that, if somebody's allergic to gold, if you think of it that way, then how valuable is the gold ring versus the silver or the platinum ring? You understand? Value is what we create. So when you look in the mirror, don't listen to the voice of other people who may be around you telling you you're not worthy. Remember, I am something special because God doesn't create junk. God only creates winners. What's the difference between a winner and a loser? A winner is a loser that got up and kept going until they won. The loser is the one who gave up, who stopped believing. So today is the day that we have to realize, one, we have to esteem ourselves for the light that's inside of us, and we have to keep acknowledging that we are winners. And when it looks like there's a challenge, we're going to get up, we're going to continue, we're going to express more and more light, because God only creates winners, and we are all winners.